The game that nobody wants to play, France versus England in the World Cup third place playoff loser. I still haven't been told what the fourth place actually gets, so I'm going to say the loser will be getting some flowers on their way home. Guys, make sure you drop your predictions in the comment section. Who do you think is going to come out of this game with a victory? We're going to take a look at both teams. Obviously, both of them getting knocked out in the semi-finals to both Spain and Argentina, respectively. So these two are going to have to face each other in the third round playoff. I know it's a game nobody wants to play, but let's get into it anyway. Yep, so as I said, man, it's the game that nobody wants to actually play in. Of course, you want to be in the final on the Sunday. You want to be, having all your fans there, everybody kind of celebrating the fact that you've gotten to the final, the kind of, all the lead up to the game. Everybody, like people like myself, preview this and checking out this and can they win their, World Cup? Will France be able to get another World Cup? Will Mbappe get his second World Cup? Will England finally do it, after, God, 60 odd years, of absolute hurts? But unfortunately, man, these two teams, they're not going to be there, man. They're not going to be there. And I think when you're looking at the face of it for both teams, I'd say it's probably more disappointing, I think, for France more than anything else. Listen, look, Spain deserve to go through. Spain are a fantastic team, but I think because of maybe where France potentially looked at, and you know what, I say where France looked at, I think maybe because a lot of people underestimated Spain anyway. I think they will look at it though with the way that they performed throughout the tournament, that they probably felt that they would get to the final and they would be able to beat a team like Spain, regardless of how good they actually are. And unfortunately for them, they weren't able to really impose their own game plan. And when you're looking at it from an England perspective, again, it's I don't know what their own expectations was in general. Maybe they thought, yeah, we could win it. Maybe they thought they can get to the final. I guess it all depended on the route that they would have had to have taken, to be able to get there in the first place. I think semi-final for England is about right, though. Forget about the game itself against Argentina, because I did still think that Argentina were the better team. But I do think when you're looking at it, getting to the semi-finals of the World Cup, I mean, the other three teams that were in, the competition, they're all ranked higher than you. I think it was literally first, second, third, and fourth. So, I mean, it's about right. If we're being totally honest with you, I mean, who else realistically? Maybe a Portugal potentially, and all of that kind of stuff. So, yeah, I think for both teams, more France who are going to maybe feel this is an opportunity kind of missed, to win the World Cup, especially because they were in such great form, playing really, really well throughout the tournament. Mbappe, Elise, Dembele, everyone playing really, really well in the tournament. And for England, again, yeah, it's just one of those kind of things, man. But taking a look at France in itself, I mean, disappointing game against Spain, man. That was honestly really, really poor game from them, in terms of just not being able to execute their own plans, their own style of play, their own football, what they've been doing throughout the tournament. And the thing is, throughout the tournament, they've had to play and win in different kind of ways. It's not all been plain sailing. It's not all been, just winning for games, 4, 5, 6-0. They've had that game against Paraguay where they had to win it in a different kind of uglier way, a way that they probably didn't want to have to try and win it. But ultimately, they did. And I think that's probably why they're going to be very disappointed, with their performance against Spain. They were the second best team, and it was by a country mile, really, really poor performance, by them. I mean, Mbappe, he's been good this tournament, regardless. Elise, he's been good this tournament. Dembele's popped up, obviously, in bits. Barcola, Doué, Kone in the midfield. I think he's been really, really good for them, throughout this entire kind of tournament. And yeah, it's just such a weird one with them. I don't know actually what the managers are going to do for this kind of game. Personally, I think they should just be playing their kind of bench players. I think giving them a run out to kind of almost just kind of say thank you for, especially the ones who haven't played a minute, in the tournament, just kind of saying thank you for everything, just being there, coming along with the journey as much as, yeah, listen, you're not just there for the journey itself, but, there are probably certain players in there. I think Konate, I don't think he's played a minute, of the tournament, the goalkeepers and stuff like that. I think this is a game really for that. I don't really look at this game as like, you have to win it, kind of thing. It's like third place. All right, cool. It's not it's okay, but it's not really all that, at the end of the day. So I think for France heading into this kind of game, listen, man, it's like I said, it's a game that nobody really wants to play. To be honest with you, it really is a game nobody really wants to play. Don't really know what a predicted lineup kind of would be. Like I said, I'm of the belief that they might go just with a lot of the fringe players, a lot of players who just haven't really had many minutes in, this kind of game, and just kind of treat it as like a bow out. I don't know if Didier Deschamps, I think I've heard that he might be leaving, or he is leaving at the end of this tournament as well. So yeah, it's just one of those kind of things. But it's weird because I'm disappointed in France, I guess, because like I said, I feel like they were the best performing team in this tournament, but they did come up against Spain. So it is a little bit difficult to be too angry, or I guess somewhat too annoyed with them, because they did come up against, a brilliant, kind of Spanish side. So yeah, I think it's literally, it literally is one of those kind of ones. And I guess they're just gonna have to wait for the next 4 years, for the next one. And in regards to like England, listen, look, man, I've done a couple videos talking about England. I will be doing a couple more speaking about them, DNA and all these kind of various different things. So make sure you guys check out those videos. But when it does come to England, like I said, I think for them in general, I do think it is a case of, I feel like this is the best you could have potentially have done. Obviously, you can look at the manner and the way you lose the games, and I think that's probably the more disappointing kind of factor behind everything. But those who do not hear, they must feel. I feel like, and with England, they ain't hearing, and this is why they're feeling it quite a lot, and they have been feeling it for so many years. I understand. Again, England, not so much like France, because England haven't been performing well in this tournament. I think they've had one good half against Croatia, which I thought was really, really good, but ultimately, that was the only half that I really felt, okay, England are playing pretty well here. They're doing what they need to do. They're performing at probably, I would say, their best level. Now I get it, because it's tournament football. It's not necessarily about always performing at your kind of level, but I never really saw anything outside of that half. Poor against Ghana, poor against Panama, poor against Norway, poor against Mexico. It just felt like random moments. Yeah, they had score a goal here, do this kind of thing, but it wasn't really anything I would say like, oh my goodness, in that kind of regard. So listen, man, for England, again, same as France, I think they should just be going into it. Ollie Watkins, Ivan Toney's, Kobe Mainoo's hasn't played. A few players who just haven't really played a lick of games at all in this tournament. I can't see why you wouldn't really play them in this kind of game. And it might also give you a different kind of option and different kind of perspective, just looking at things, because this is a game where you can, I'm not saying, listen, you don't go into any game trying to lose. Of course not. Nobody does. I don't want to lose in a friendly match, let alone in a World Cup, third place playoff. So I do understand to a certain degree, but I also think this would be a very good game to kind of test out some different things for Thomas Tuchel, especially because I did hear that he will be the manager staying on, for that Euro. I think it's the 2028, the Euro. So this might be something you could potentially look at. Can I see? Listen, it's one game. I'm not saying it's going to be the answer to everything, but it might just give him a few more ideas. And especially in a somewhat important match, you can look at this and say, hold on, if we play really well against France, but I've played it a completely different way than what we've been performing like, this might be something that we continue to do. And listen, you always need a base, you always need a foundation to kind of start from. Every team has to start from, step one, regardless of anything. So, like I said, I'm mentioning Kobe Mainoo, but you still got the likes of Adam Wharton, Alex Scott, who obviously didn't make it. You still got Phil Foden, you still got Cole Palmer. There's so many different things that you could potentially do now. But obviously, just in terms of just for this game in itself, I do think that this might be a game where you can just try something a little bit different. Try something you maybe thought about. This is a game where you can say, you know what, let's try it today. Let's try it today. Win, lose, it doesn't really matter. Let's lose playing our way. And let's actually play our way. Let's actually play our football. Yes, we got it wrong yesterday. I got it wrong as the manager, blah, blah, blah. Okay, let me do this now. Let's start as a base, and then going from Euro 2028, then we can, kind of move from there. So let's wait and see. Let's wait and see in regards to that. In terms of predictions, like I said, it's one of those, man. I'm hoping just for a free-flowing game. I want to see goals, and I want to see a lot of goals, lots of shots, and all of these kind of various different things. I still think France come out victors in this game, but again, I think most of it will come down to like the lineups of the two teams, just depending on who goes stronger. Do both of them? If they both go strong, I say France. if either or goes strong, I'll go with the one who goes the strongest in the game. So again, I don't really know what that's going to kind of look like. But like I said, it's the game that nobody really wants to play, to be honest with you. I like playing a third place playoff. I get it. It's at World Cup, but you know, a lot of these players, you know, they're winners. You know, they really want to go out there and win. So they ain't really trying to hear anything different. So yeah, Mbappe's, Dembele, the Ballon d'Or winners and stuff like that. So yeah, we'll wait and see. We shall wait and see. Leave your predictions in the comment section, people, in regards to the game. Who do you think is going to win? Who do you think is going to lose? And let me know how you feel about their performances throughout the World Cup, both France and England. If you have to give them a grade, drop your grades for both teams in the comment section, and I will do the same. Keep the same energy, stay blessed, and I will catch you very, very soon with the final preview. Peace.